Welcome to the ZOpium Den, the house of the anti-buddy-duddy Bible study. CJ and I welcome y'all to the study party.
Yes.
Hey, I hope y'all's week is off to a groovy start. I hope. Hey, is it getting cold for y'all yet? Is it starting to get like where we are, man? We get them dips and it comes back up, and so. Are you feeling winter, trying to slide? It's what? Slide nothing. It's pushing. Come on. Let me on up in here, man, so I can do my thing. You've had your time, autumn. Winter is like selfish and cold and greedy and all that. Warm is all like, autumn is all like warm and, and cool and whichever, man. And, warm and cool, whichever. You know what I'm saying? And, but winter's is like, no, I want to get on up here and I want to do my thing. So, but at any rate, I hope that, you guys have had a great autumn as it's starting to come to a close and, winter is getting ready to go ahead and push on up here. Hopefully winter will go by quickly. I don't like for time to go by quickly, man. It seems like time is going by too fast as it is, but I don't mind if winter just go ahead and, just scoot on by like real fast. So all that to say, y'all, I hope you guys are so far having a great week. Hope it gets better for you. And let's go ahead and get our the real life of the party on up in here, man. Let's get our high priest and king in the Holy Spirit in his name to counsel us in the study. Father in heaven, Yeshua's name, we trust in you to help us say and do what's right in your sight, wise in your eyes, report of you correctly, Lord. Help us to make this study an excellent study and get better, better than how I started with my clumsy behind trying to banner and stuff like that. But we're trusting you, Father, to help us serve up the goods, Lord, and be effective at pointing people to you and, making the case, doing our part to make the case that you are who you say you are. Thank you so much, Lord. And for y'all, our study buddies, ZOpium denizens, thank you guys so much for tuning in. The Lord's shalom, his joy, his blessing, his fortification, and his love to you. Thank you guys so much. And let's be that effective salt and light and food for his glory, y'all.
Yes.
Yeshua's name.
In Yeshua's name.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, so let's go ahead and get on down with the study like only we do. I ain't tried it, but I'm boasting in the Lord, man. I think he really hooks up the ZOpium Den with something special, that I think is very unique on the interwebs, if I do say so myself, right? So, and I hope that you guys agree. Maybe you do, because y'all keep tuning in. Either that, you're just crazy. But this is the study party up in here, man, and I'm glad that y'all tune in ready to get down.
Yes.
All right, so we're at Numbers 15. I think we're going to do...
Numbers 14.
Numbers 14. Thank you, because sometimes I do forget how to count. Let's see.
Not true, because I got it from you.
All right, so Numbers 14.
What verse?
I need the correct spectacles up in here. I think I got your glasses. My glasses at. Maybe I can just do it. Maybe I can wing it, man. Well, don't wing it, but maybe I'll be able to.
These or no?
No, those are blockers. These blue blockers. I need glasses with some magnification, and I got all these glasses on my desk, and none of them are the one I need.
These are blue blockers, but they have magnification.
That's okay. You need them to be able to see the chat. It's all good. We'll manage.
No,
I'm just gonna look weird because I'm like all farsighted and stuff, so I can go ahead and like read it from like back here. Yeah. All right. So, or I could do a thing where I just bust out my phone and just use the photo thing on it and get magnified if I really need to. Let's see if I can do it though. It's only 16. Okay, so I was gonna say it's only 6 verses. No, we're doing 16 verses, I think.
You want to just use these to read?
Let me see what I got. Let me see what I can do here. All right. Let me just get it into the light. Oh, that helps a lot. All right, because we keep it like all cozy up in here, man. So the light is, we got that, that cozy light going, but it doesn't make for good, reading, unless you got one of them spotlights that you could put on but I don't have one of those right now. Anyway, let's see what we got. Although that night, all through.
What verse?
I'm already, we're at 14, starting at 1. Going to read through 16. Okay. All through that night, the entire community raised up their voices. The people wept, boo-hoo. All B'nai Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole community said, if only we had died in Egypt. That's that meme right there when they said that. That's that Batman Robin meme where they get rid of, if only we had died in, and Batman slaps the snot out of Robin. That's a meme for that. Yeah. Okay, if only we had died in Egypt. If only we had died in the wilderness. Another slap. Batman slap. So why is Adonai bringing us to this land to fall by the sword? Slap, slap. Our wives and our children's will be like plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? Oh man, a truckload of slaps. They said to each other, let's choose a leader and let's go back to Egypt. Pull up the slapmobile. We just gonna slap all day. Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the entire assembly of the community of B'nai Israel, Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had explored the land, tore their clothes. They said to the whole assembly of B'nai Israel, the land through which we passed is exceptionally good land. If Adonai is pleased with us, he will lead us into the land and will give it to us, a land flowing with milk and honey. Only don't rebel against Adonai. Don't be afraid of the people in the land. They will be food for us. You ain't suggesting some sort of cannibalism, are you, man? You know, I know your name means dog and everything like that, but that don't mean that you're supposed to go around biting people. But man, I'm pretty sure this is metaphor, speaking in euphemisms, if you will. Yeah.
I hope so.
Okay. They will be food for us. The protection over them is gone. Adonai is with us. Do not fear them. But the whole assembly talked about violently stoning them. Everybody must get stoned, especially Caleb and Joshua. We're going to stone them. It's my Bob Dylan voice. Then the glory,
It's pretty spot on.
All right, thank you, yeah. Then the glory of Adonai appeared, grumpy glory. This God in grumpy glory right now, grouchy glory. The glory of Adonai appeared at the tent of the meeting to all B'nai Israel. Adonai said to Moses, how long will these people treat me contemptibly? How long will they neglect to trust in me? In spite of all the miraculous signs I have performed among them, I will strike them with the plague. I will destroy them. But you, my dog, actually Caleb would be the Lord's dog, but you know what I'm saying. Moses, my dude Moses, I will make you into a nation greater and stronger than they. How about that? Okay. Man, not bad, man. I did it without, see, I don't need no glasses, man. I can do it. Just need a little more light, that's all.
That's right.
Actually, I mean, with this lighting, the glasses do help me keep it chill up in here, man. With the dim light, and cool out, and cozy out and stuff. But one or the other. So we got, we're seeing the effects, y'all. Seeing the effects of fake news, if you will. Remember, the scouts made up stuff. They made up stuff about the Nephilim, and lied about seeing them. I remember when we went to that study, people be like, the Bible says that the Anakim are the Nephilim. You got to read that closer. It says they lied about it. All right, it says they came back and gave an evil report, a false report. Talk about they saw the Nephilim and stuff and who the Anakim are. They made all that stuff up. All right, it tells you flat out that they made it up. So now they never saw the Nephilim, and on top of that, they tried to make the Nephilim out to be some scary force in this land that would devour them. All right, all fake news. It caused hysteria and irrationality. So, for example, they start whining about how they prefer dying in Egypt. That's how flipped out they got. Okay, if only we had died in Egypt. And then they say, wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? For what? to die? Y'all cried out. You cried out to God because of the severe oppression. The severe oppression you were under in Egypt. The Egyptians were killing y'all too. They exacted infanticide against y'all to control your population. So God rescued you and proved that he would be with you. He's going to be with you in battle. Now y'all want to go back to the place where y'all were oppressed, even in some cases to death.
Yeah. On
top of that, they were like, why couldn't we have died in the wilderness? What does it matter? Actually, what the wording is, why couldn't we have died in this wilderness? What does it matter? If it's this wilderness or that one. All right, let me offer y'all this. God is leading y'all into battle. All right, y'all are okay with dying in a way, however, that's more comfortable to you. Okay, Egypt was oppressive, but at least it was an oppression y'all were familiar with. You'd have gotten accustomed to it at that point, right? Which means to a degree, because of the familiarity of it, just the routine, the daily routine of this oppression, at least y'all could find comfort in that. The familiarity, the routine. All right. In this wilderness y'all have been in, where y'all just grumble and grumble. Well, I mean, at least, it became an oppression or a surrounding that had become familiar to you. At least in this time now. You've been out there for a minute. It has become kind of familiar and comfortable to you. So, but to fight in the wilderness of the land of promise, yeah, that's just too unfamiliar territory, man. So we don't want to go. We don't want to go. Again, understandable, but hardly excusable. Because while, here's the thing. While they got familiar with their circumstances, familiarizing themselves with justifying their grumbling, they didn't familiarize themselves with God, who has been with them the whole time. They didn't familiarize themselves with gratitude and humility. So they just stayed steeped in pride, insecurity, entitlement, and decadence. They wouldn't learn, right? Not that they couldn't, they wouldn't. All right? So in this disease they fed themselves, they couldn't see that the enemies and obstacles before them weren't anything the Lord couldn't handle. So things were going to be rough, yeah, but they didn't have to be as rough. Because they so stiff-necked. It's like, man, you ain't got to be like that. It don't have to be this hard. It's going to be hard, yeah. Not as hard as you making it, though.
Yeah.
They made things more rough on themselves, y'all. God had to let the record show on this. You see what I'm saying? He had to let the record show on this. It couldn't be a hypothetical. It couldn't be like, I know how you're going to act. And he even tells them, I know how. He'd be telling them, I know what you're going to do. And I'm warning you, don't do this. I give you a warning about these things because I know you're going to do it. All right. But the thing is, I can't be a judge according to hypotheticals. All right. It has to actually be demonstrated. So I'm going to let you know this is what's going to happen. I tell you that you don't want to do that, but I know you're going to do it anyway.
Yep.
And then that's when the judgment is sound. I don't judge on hypotheticals. I don't do that. All right. So it's got to play out to be recorded. Again, they're crying out, if only we had died in Egypt. If only we had died in bondage, is basically what they're saying. Died in oppression, died enslaved. They would have rather died as slaves, y'all, than to live free. They were scared to death to live free, y'all, the cost of it. Even though God is like, look, man, I'm really going to be the one flipping a lot of the bill here. You know, don't get me wrong, man. Some of y'all will get killed, but you're going to win. You know, some of them are afraid that, well, I don't want to be the one that's going to get killed. You know, it's war, you know, but the Lord's like, yeah, there's going to be some casualties on your part, but ultimately you're going to win. And I know it sucks. It's like, well, what kind of guarantee, what kind of pep talk is that, God? You know, we don't want to get killed at all. We don't want to go to war. We don't want to do it. Well, as the saying goes, you know, I think I first heard this saying in Battlestar Galactica, old school. You know, we thought that the opposite of war was peace. We found out the hard way, the opposite of war is more often slavery. So to have peace, sometimes you actually have to have a war. So if y'all want to just go ahead and be slaves to like different nations and stuff like that, or whichever, just not really have a place, you know, to call your own, because it ain't gonna get much better than this spot right here. But if you want it, you're gonna have to go and take it from these heathens. So, and then if you do that and you live by my word, you're gonna be sitting real pretty, land of milk and honey and all that sort of stuff. But y'all are stiff-necked. Stubborn, you know. Now, but like I said, they couldn't see life in true freedom. True freedom comes from the Lord. But you know, that true freedom, man, you actually have to have like some morals. You can't be a pervert. You're not free to be a pervert. There's no freedom in perversion, but they want to be perverts. You know? So they didn't see life in real freedom. They saw death. You know how Jesus be like, hey, man, you need to kill your flesh. You know what I'm saying? Because your flesh is getting you in trouble. You answer to your flesh too much, and you want to be given over to these carnal desires and whichever. You want to be free to do that. That stuff ensnares you. That stuff causes problems, man. You know? So that's why I'm saying they don't really see freedom in what it is God wants them to do. They don't want to be disciplined. They don't want to, you know, live this, you know, sanctified life. But man, if you do, man, you'll get to do all the things that you want to do. It's just that, you know, God has these statutes that makes for perpetual enjoyment of these things where it doesn't cause problems. So see, it's for them, it's like it's worth it to have them problems just to be able to go ahead and do whatever their flesh dictates. It's not a good idea, you know. So all that to say, they just see death. So, oh man, I got to give up, you know, all the things that I want to indulge in. They just see that as death. You know what I'm saying? That's the same way with people today. That's why a lot of people don't want to give their lives over to Christ. You know, because they really feel, as one of my songs, Measured in Sky, the lyrics is, if you ain't, it's like it's like talking almost from a perspective of screw tape. Which is, and it's basically saying, if you ain't sinning, you just ain't living.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where they want to be. Man, we want to sin, and we want to determine what sin is. We're not really doing anything wrong, but that's how they want to roll. You know, so they want to take liberties and basically abuse these things that the Lord is giving these to us to really enjoy and to be in perpetual enjoyment of it, or at least as long as we get to live. And if we don't abuse them, then we don't end up with these baggages, man, and we don't end up with these heartaches and all that sort of stuff in being able to enjoy life. These people, they want to take it far outside of that scope, and it just leads to problems. Okay? So, like I said, they didn't see life in real freedom. They saw death. You know, the death of indulging. What's the point of living, man? So they didn't see death in being enslaved. They saw comfort in being enslaved. Didn't they want to go back to Egypt? They saw comfort there, where they were slaves. All right? Despite crying out to God about how uncomfortable they were when they were there. Remember, y'all, they didn't want to be freed. They just wanted to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. They didn't mind being slaves. Matter of fact, they were quite prosperous as slaves. Remember, y'all? Pharaoh was actually intimidated by their prosperity, even though they were his subjects, his slaves. He was afraid. But he wasn't afraid of them going to war with him. He was afraid of them leaving. Okay? Which they did. They left because they were uncomfortable. But if they were made to be comfortable, they would have stayed and been okay with being slaves. Slaves of Pharaoh, not servants of God. You know? So, now, this is why God says, do not fear. Because fear makes us irrational. Listen to them. They talk about, why can't we just die in this wilderness or whichever, or go back to Egypt? You know, we could go back to Egypt. You're being irrational, man. You're letting your fear. You're living by your fear. You're not living by me. That's a lot of people, man. Their fear is their God. Not the one to rightfully fear, God himself. You know, they pay lip service to it and stuff like that. You know, how they love God or they fear God. But they don't really live for God. They live for their fear. You see it all over, right? In America, all you got to do is turn on TV. People are ruling over us by their fear. The media, the school system, the entertainment industry, right? Not just people in government, but we've been made to live by the fears of the godless. And the godless are cowards, y'all. Look at the demons when Jesus showed up. Ah! They peed on themselves, man. You were here to torture us, but they're cowards. Hiding in the shadows, messing with people. All right? Took possession of a person, making them torture. Take possession of little kids, torturing them and stuff like that. They bullies and cowards. Look at these cowards, man, who call us phobes, like we're afraid of them. You guys are transphobes and homophobes. Like, no, you guys are. You guys are out there telling people that we want to round you up and we want to kill you and stuff like that, man. No. Nah. A lot of us, it used to be where we didn't even care what it is that you did. We didn't care. Like, look, man, you go ahead and do what you want to do, man. It's just don't make it to where we have to like participate in it though, or we have to be a party to it somehow. It used to be that way. It's like, look, man, it went in cycles. There was laws against it and stuff like that, and then it became like, you know what, we don't care. We're not going to try to make a legal issue out of all this sort of stuff, or make sanctions against you. We that stuff got laxed, right? Like, don't care, man. You just go ahead and do you. But see, that wasn't enough. Now it got to a point where they want to force us to care, right? We have to celebrate them now.
Yeah.
We have to accommodate them and all that sort of stuff. All right. So, and more, the more accommodations that are made for them, strangely enough, the more irrational they get. The more their fear, the more they live for their fear. They're getting what out of their fear that they're projecting on us, they get more of their way. But they out there telling that we want to destroy them. We want to kill them. There's a war against transgenders and all that sort of stuff that we far right Christians are out to annihilate them. while they go and wave around Palestinian flags, people who have made it very clear and have videos of throwing them off of buildings and slaughtering them and killing them. The people that you have partnered with, the evil, because you're evil and you have partnered with evil, those are the ones who are actively killing you, killing your kind. How are we killing you? We kill you because we tell you that the things that you're doing is unclean. That's about as far as we're going to go with it. We just give you a warning. It's like, dude, you might not want to do that, man. You don't want to face, being set apart from God. And because we say that, we're the evil ones that want to kill them. See how irrational that is? See how their fear makes them irrational? Their greed, their perversion. I'm just calling it what it is. So, you can see, and the stuff that they believe is false. It's fake. It's fake news. Mm-hmm. And look what the fake news does. And we got a whole big industry of fake news, y'all. And look what it's causing, how it's causing people to behave. All right. And unfortunately, it's getting both sides. Doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. It's getting both of them. Because too many people on the right, they tune into Fox News way more than they tune into the Bible. That is they're more devoted and dedicated to making sure they get their dose of Fox News or whatever right-leaning news outlet that they do, more than they'll spend time with the Bible. The Bible is not the first thing that they open. They open up articles. They open up their editorials. They open up, their pundits. They go and listen to them all week long, baby. Every day. That is where they are. Listening to these people stroke their anger and their pride every day. And maybe on Sunday, they'll go to the church house and have some pastor spoon feed whatever their pastor is feeling at the time to them, rather than actually really digging into the Word of God themselves. That's most of America. As far as, the right is concerned, the left, whatever it is that they deem spiritual, and it certainly ain't holy, that's where they spend their time every day. So that's what's happening to our country. You got most of the country that really, and the Word of God already tells us, man, it's a wide road. You got a whole bunch of people out there, like say, for instance, on the right, they'll claim to believe in God and stuff like that. They really follow him? Heck, no. Right? Their idol is the American flag. Their idols are the American, that's their Asherah poles, really. The American flag, Constitution, right? They're basically pagans in their worship of this terrain called America. They're just as much in idolatry over the ground that they step on in America as the liberals are in their worship of the whole globe. It's just that liberals, they're globalists. They don't believe in the borders, so they worship the whole earth. Whereas on the right, they worship the terrain of America. I guarantee you, the mainstream Republicans, their premium is on America more than the kingdom. All right? This is the fact. That's why we have so many problems. So they don't want to admit that, but it's true. And so, like I said, if you really want to make America great, put the kingdom first. That's what it takes.
Yep.
So, like I said, man, we see all this behavior, and Israel was hardly, unique with this kind of behavior. The difference is there was definitely no excuse for their behavior. I mean, really, because they had God with them. No reason for y'all to act like this. So they asked, why is God bringing us? Why is he bringing us out here to fall by the sword? Wait, what? You're way more familiar with your fear than your faith in God, man. God didn't bring you out here to die by the sword. He brought you out there for them heathens occupying that land that God has given you to die by the sword. So you just admitted that God is with you because you're blaming him for bringing you out there. You know he's with you, but you don't have the faith that he'll go with you in the battle to render y'all victorious. Y'all be talking about our wives and children are going to be booty for these people. We want to go back to Egypt where our wives and children can go back to being booty for them. So no, there's no good excuse for this stuff, man. No good excuse for it. Then they really throw salt in the wound, y'all, by saying, let's choose a leader and go back to Egypt. Wow, man. Wow. So, we don't want the leadership of Moses and God's fortification in Moses. Hey, man, none of y'all could have led you out of Egypt, which means any one of y'all could lead you back in. You dig what I'm saying? None of y'all could have led, like who? Who among you could have led you out of Egypt unless God appointed you? None of you. Which means that any one of you could lead you back in there though. Right? So, look, you don't need anybody to lead you back into slavery, man. You don't need that. Just go. Just go. Y'all are already there anyway. Your minds are set to comfort, not liberty. All right? You find more security and comfort in being enslaved to men. You're more confident that in that and see the liberty and salvation of God to be too uncertain, right? Despite the certainty he has shown you. But you don't have confidence in that. You have more confidence in being comfortable in Egypt. That's wild, man. The place that made you really uncomfortable, so you were crying out to God to get you out of the discomfort. Now all of a sudden you think you'll be more comfortable there? Wow. So Moses and Aaron are like, oh, Gehenna, no. Right? Fell on their faces to show Israel the grief that they had laid on them. Israel didn't care. They didn't care none, man. Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, they weren't on that fraidy cat frequency though, man. That wasn't, they didn't roll that way. They also displayed their grief and contempt with Israel by tearing their clothes, which God really doesn't dig. So, but God's, more upset with Israel for driving them to such frustration. He was really mad about that. So they're like, how could y'all be such ungrateful cowards? God's with us. He provides. God's not short on providing. Y'all are just long on greed. All right. You're not dying of thirst or starvation. The pangs of your pride and entitlement is what's making you suffer. All right. You're rabid with ingratitude, and it keeps you from being able to enjoy food and drink. You can't enjoy what you have. And so you accuse God of giving you nothing or subpar rations and demand he give you something and something more indulgent. God's just big old stingy meanie that's going to let us be wiped out by the very people he brought us out to drive out. Instead of reflecting on their behavior, they decide that they want to stone Joshua and Caleb. Dang. So y'all got the drive, man. Y'all got the drive to come against those in the service of God, but not the drive to go against those who are against God. Okay. So God himself says, despite all I've demonstrated, they don't trust me. So right there is another example of why the Lord puts the premium on faith. Seeing is not the stamp of proof, y'all. You can put the proof and truth right in front of people. It doesn't mean they'll accept it. Okay? They can have the faith in or not in the proof. They decide that they don't want to believe it. That's the way it is. That's really what it comes down to. Belief, the faith. All right. So God rhetorically asked, how long will these people treat me contemptibly? He already knows. Okay. He knows the contempt is going to keep going until he shows up in the person of his son, Yeshua, and even after they kill him. And as usual, the contempt will be for no good reason. So Yeshua gives us another heads up that he's been, the God that's been with the Israelites the whole time when he asked, like in Matthew 17:17, "O unbelieving and perverse generation," Jesus replied, "how long must I remain with you? How long must I put up with you?" Bring the boy here to me. Right. So despite what Yeshua, God, demonstrates, the proof doesn't sink in. They're doubting who Yeshua is in the Trinity, like they're wise to do so. I guess like how their ancestors were so wise in doubting God when he brought them out of Egypt. They got a track record of just doubting God. Why would Jesus be any different? It's like you would think that they would tune in on that at some point. It's like, man, you guys don't, you got a long book of doubting God and turning against God over and over again. Don't be trying to call us, idolaters or anything like that. Look at your history is wrought with it. But you gonna try to school us and tell us that Jesus ain't the king? He ain't the Messiah? I don't think I'm gonna take counsel from you on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I ain't talking, hey, this ain't no anti-Semitism talking here. I'm saying this out of love.
Yeah, thank you for clarification.
Saying this out of love. Because we're not any of whatever alt-right has become or whatever.
Right,
we ain't those. And we certainly ain't no flipping, pro-Palestinian left, Democrat KKK who have a long history of always hating the Jews.
Yes.
And just like here, you see what I'm saying? People wonder. It's like when people wonder, why is it that the Jews always vote Democrat? If you're asking that question, you haven't read the Bible. Where did the Israelites want to go back to? Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay? It shows you right there. It's like, dude, this is where they want to be. They want to be with their oppressors. They want to be where people hate them. And so the Democrats get to enjoy the Jews wanting to be in their party because for some strange reason, the Israelites have this fixation on being where people hate them and turn their nose up to the people who love them and see the people who love them as the people who hate them. It's weird, man. It's wild. It's like, man, we trying to tell you truth and love, man. Your king has come. The Messiah came. He has redeemed you. Accept it. It's the truth. Now, wow, man. Praise God for Messianic Jews, though. So my contention, with the Israelites, Jews, it's like, man, the land that the Lord has promised you, the boundaries that have been set, I have no argument with that. Mm-hmm. I ain't one of these people who is like, who butt hurts against Zionism and all that sort of stuff. I ain't one of those. My contention is like, look, man, God personally established your nation, and that ain't good enough for you. And he's giving you the schematic of how he's going to come to redeem you. It's all spelled out in here that he's going to come to you in the person of his son. Y'all refuse to see it. That's really sad. So my contention is with stuff like that. But this, like some sort of, I don't know, innate animosity or bigotry or anything like that. No, if I had that, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care about your soul at all. I wouldn't care about your nation or nothing like that. But your nation rendered our Redeemer. So, and I'm not one of those who, who's all about the, if you curse Israel, you will be cursed. And if you bless Israel, because the word doesn't exactly say that. That's a whole nother thing. And I think a lot of evangelists, misunderstand that. But the bottom line is the ultimate rendering of Abraham is the one who comes and blesses all nations. He comes through the nation of Israel to bless all nations, a blessing to all of us. All those who are willing to accept who he says he is. So for that is where my respect for Israel will remain fixed and unchanged. Was somebody saying something?
Yeah, Hardboiled Entertainment says, I feel like the Israelites' issue is very much what we do whenever we express a false nostalgia for the good old days.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Exactly, man.
That's a good way to put it.
Because isn't it weird how we be talking about the good old days? Man, you was grumbling back then too.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, what are these good old days that you were talking about? I mean, yeah, we should be a point where it's like where you are right now. Don't take it for granted. Be grateful.
Yes.
Be grateful to the Lord. Say, hey, sometimes, and don't get me wrong, because some of us may be in some crappy situations. Whether it's health-wise or wealth-wise, just know it could get worse.
Yep.
So enjoy where you are right now, because 5 years you may be thinking, man, it was so much simpler 5 years ago. Just
I tend to do that too.
Yeah. Don't grumble. It ain't like you don't. It's not like God is saying, yeah, thank me for being sick or whichever. It isn't about that. It's not I'm sick and I'm just so grateful. No, you're not being grateful for that. If anything, you're grateful to God for getting you through it. Right? That's the thing to be grateful for, or to have other things to be grateful for. As the saying, what is the saying? It's that, man, I used to think I was bad. I had it bad because I had no shoes until I saw the person who had no feet.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, look for reasons, reflect on things to be grateful for, man. I know it's hard. The world, it kind of sucks. But you gotta, but the strong, man, it takes strength.
Yeah.
It takes strength, man, to have a grateful heart.
Yeah, it does. That's a good point.
Yeah. The grumbling is just a sign of weakness. Grumbling is people just grumbling and being just irritated and whichever. I mean, there's people out there who just poke you until you're mad. That's the world. But to stay in it, and just live and just constantly being in a state of grumbling rather than a state of gratitude, and it takes strength, to keep on smiling, man. It takes strength to do that. So, like I said, Yeshua is demonstrating. He gives these things of proof, and they still doubt. And like I said, they think they're wise, in doing so, or enlightened. So you're not enlightened. They had no good reason to treat God with contempt then, as we just read. They were treating God with contempt back then. Mm-hmm. God said it. Is God a liar? No. It's like, what's up with these people just treating me with contempt? As if he doesn't know. He knows, but he has to put it on record. All right? God doesn't just keep these thoughts to himself. Gee, they treat me so contemptibly. No, we have to have a record. God gives us a record of his thoughts. All right? Even if he already knows the answer to it, we have the record. There's a reason why we have these records. Because Jesus, he says things that are reflective of those statements, like I just said. So God is asking, what's up with these people treating me like the way they do? Why do I have to suffer with these people? Jesus makes reflective statements to let you know that, yeah, that was him back then. It's always been him. All right. So they're doubting who Yeshua is in the Trinity. Like I said, like they're wise to do so. You know, I guess like how their ancestors were also doubting God when he brought them out of Egypt. Like Jesus, like, yeah, man, me and my Father are one. I'm the third in the Trinity. You know, nope, they don't believe it. Hey, I'm not surprised. You guys have this real problem with believing God, no matter what generation it is. And so, yeah, I understand. Even though there's no excuse for it, I have issues with you. You didn't recognize your time of visitation from God. That's me. I told you when I was showing up, and you guys are, whatever. Okay. So they had no good reason to do these things. So check out the checks and balances of God's that God designed. The Word of God is in Moses, y'all, like a backup file. Okay?
Yeah.
Israel's contemptible behavior is making God dump his covenant files with Israel. All right? He's moving them into the trash bin, all right? So, but God, God put a fail-safe. He put a fail-safe file in Moses, or a time machine file, whichever, just in case. So God would be justified. He would be justified with destroying the Israelites. Just like he was justified in destroying everybody, like with the flood and everything. God was justified. All right? Wickedness, perversion, violence, man, was just, that was the thing. It just became too much. And God's like, we put a stop to this. All right? So God would be justified for destroying the Israelites for the wickedness that they were doing, also with the wickedness of everybody else. But if God wiped out the Israelites, though, he'd have to overhaul how he's going to make atonement for us. Or maybe just even abandon us altogether. Say, you know what, man, I'm done, child. We ain't doing it. All right? But God, he doesn't want to roll like that. So, for starters, like I said, if he's going to just wipe out the Israelites and start over with Moses, the line of Judah would be gone, which means there'd be no King David. A whole new royal line would have to be established. All right. Now, through Moses, there'd be a Levitical line. So the priesthood of the Redeemer would still be in effect. But Yeshua is priest and king. So another royal line would have to be established. See, y'all, even God sets reminders for himself. The rainbow, for example, is a big post-it, to remind God that no matter how much, we get on his nerves, don't wipe him out with the flood again. Okay, it's like, oh, man, clouds, I'm going to get some clouds. I'm drowning. Oh, man, there's that rainbow. Okay, can't drown y'all. I'm going to use fire next time. I'm fire. I'm going to melt the whole universe down. Flash pasteurize the universe. That's what I'm going to do. Hey, so the word of God is in Moses. And Moses had the word to reel God back, reel him back in from destructo mode. So Moses might have been like, hey, God, wiping Israel out and starting over with me might not render the results you would like. You kind of already did something like that with Noah, didn't you? Look how it's turning out. So we're the descendants of his son, Shem, and have been enslaved by and at war with the descendants of Noah's son, Ham, Shem's brother. And it's not like God doesn't know this, but God has to let the dialogue come out in the open. You know what I'm saying? It has to be recorded for us to examine. That's what it's all about. Don't think that God is ignorant about these things. Okay? Mm-hmm. God is inviting us into his thought process. So, because remember what Paul says, do you not know that you will judge the angels? We're God's jury, y'all. Okay? We're among examining the evidence. So when the judgment comes, we're not in the businesses of God's wrath. We're in the jury box. You know what I'm saying? So God's thought process and his justifications, he doesn't withhold anything. We see it all play out. He gives us questions. He gives us his questions that he already knows the answers to, but he invites us in to show what's going on in the process. All right? I mean, that's majestically humble. Mm-hmm. You know? So, God's justifications, his mercy, despite his justification to carry out a judgment of destruction, have been recorded. God makes his intentions open so we can see the actions of his mercy. Right? Which brings us to the fail-safe word of God in Moses to remind God of how it would look to the Egyptians if God brought them out of Egypt just to kill them in the wilderness. The Egyptians will put God on blast as a God who failed to lead the very people he freed to the promised land and then took his failure out on them by killing them. Okay? That's how they'll play it. Yeah, you're justified to pass judgment on the Israelites, but it will just put other nations even more at odds with you. Remember, it ain't like God doesn't know this. He's the one who put the word in Moses. The wisdom that Moses is given to God was given by God to Moses in the first place. But like I said, he said, Moses, go ahead and tuck this away in case these people like really get on my nerves. Right? And I'm just like, you know what? Because there was even that point where God's like, hey, leave me alone. God was like, leave me alone, Moses.
Yeah.
Just, hey, move aside, bro. Just back up. I got some killing to do. And Moses had to come and say, oh, wait. Right? Let me open up this file really quick and you just need it. Right? You know, so God does these things, but it shows, like I said, the majestic humility of God in the purpose that he gives us. What a show of confidence that God has, even in humanity. Us lowly creatures, he made us to represent him in nature. You know? But even in our fallen state, I was like, look, man, I still want y'all to know that you have purpose. You don't have to go the way that you're going. And for God to take this information that he has, that he already knows, I'm going to give it to Moses. Moses, I'm going to leave it to you, man. I'm going to leave it to you to recite my word to me. Okay? And keep me from doing what's right, but won't be received rightly by others. You know what I'm saying? So once again, it's not like God doesn't know these things, but it just shows like how he incorporates us. I think is really amazing. So now we have these people who will receive what the Lord did. They'll receive it wrong because they're into the same perverted stuff that the Israelites keep slipping back into. Okay? And these other nations would hate God even more for God not being okay with the perverted stuff they're into and instead wipes them out. You know? So also, this is a picture of Christ reminding God to not slaughter everybody right now. So Moses, making this intercession, man, you don't want to do this. Don't do this right now. It's a picture of Christ. Lord, forgive them. Because remember, y'all, when Jesus was up on the cross, God showed up. He showed up. And the world went dark because it was judgment time. And Jesus, he invoked the Levitical statute of committing sins. I mean, a lot of people think that Jesus says, don't forgive them, Father, because he was being a nice guy. No, he's letting them know, dude, I'm God. I'm the one who gave the statute concerning committing sins that you don't know that you're doing. Yeah, I did that. I'm invoking that law right now. Are you recognizing who I am yet? Okay. And by the way, Jesus is The angel of death. Yeah, that's it. The angel that was going through Egypt, destroying them, that was Jesus. Yeah. So God is basically like showing up and saying, hey, Jesus. Because what were they saying? He can save others. How come he can't save himself? Maybe he can call on God to come and save him. Well, God did show up. And if God would have let Jesus off the cross, if he would have let Jesus off the cross, the angel of death came at night, didn't he? Came at midnight. What happened? God made it midnight at noon. This was on the Passover. When did the angel of death show up? Passover, right? It was Passover. And at noon, it became nighttime. It was time for the angel of death to ride. So if God would have let Jesus off that cross, Jesus like, God forgive them. Don't take me off this cross. We've done too much work. I'm going to go ahead and they're going to kill me. Let's just go ahead and get it over with. Because if you let me off this cross, the angel of death is going to ride. I'm going to kill everybody. See, they're in my tabernacle right now. They're under the covering of my blood, just like they were behind the doorpost. You see what I'm saying? I'm the slaughtered lamb, But at the same time, I am the angel of death. You let me off this cross, I'm going to ride. I'm be killing people, the whole world, in fact. So this is, this is a picture when Moses is interceding. You got a picture of Jesus who'll be like, don't slaughter everybody right now. We ain't going to do this right now. I know we'd be right to do so. But the whole atonement thing with me is with me on the cross would be for nothing. If we did so. Let's just take a rain check on the wrath, for a bit. Let's take a rain check on that. We will cash that check, but remember, there's some things we have to finish, So remember, if anybody's confused about like who the angel of death is, just read it. It'll tell you. The angel of death is not a separate entity from God. Or the destroyer is what it would be called. The destroyer. So when the destroyer comes through, if you read it, it sounds like it's a separate entity, but you keep reading, you find out it's the same. God is the destroyer, which means that Yeshua is the destroyer. All right, because they're one. So we don't want to be these kind of people, man, that stays in a state of grumbling, man. Don't grumble. Mm-hmm. It's an easy thing to fall into.
Yes, it is.
And it takes the strength of the Lord. It takes the strength of the Lord to not be there. So let's rely on him, y'all, and be grateful, folks. And I know the world is hard to get through. That's why we trust in the Lord, man, because we want rescue too. The Israelites did, but man, let's not make the mistake of being like, okay, you got us on out of here, and then be grumbling because you got us out, because things get a little rough. But whatever's going to be made right in every way is going to be is facilitated by Yeshua. And if we really want that righteous living, man, we want that kind of life, man, where we don't have these problems that we're dealing with. There's only one person who can make that happen. He's prepared that place for us. We're not going to get that, while we're here in earth in the state that it is. But we trust that the Lord has made us that place. And if we hang on to him, we're going to get there, And I'm looking forward to it. All right, y'all, that's what I got so far. What's going on out there?
Looking through the comments. Hardboiled Entertainment says, come now, let us reason together. God to Jeremiah. Mm-hmm.
Let us reason together, baby.
And I know you want to go over the purgatory issue. Mm-hmm. And after that, we'll close it out with a prayer because one of our chat members ended up in the hospital. So,
hey, y'all, why y'all being so clumsy, man, and ended up in the hospital? Oh, man, hey, the Lord's speedy healing to you folks, and whether you're in the hospital or whether you're not, whatever your situation is, we're trusting in the Lord's resolve for you. And, Lord, and trusting him to get us through. Sometimes, the Lord, it takes to see how great the Lord is and how faithful he is. Sometimes, things have to get a bit rough because things are always easy. You can't really see how his ability to get you through things are.
That's absolutely true. Like Paul reminds us, my grace is sufficient for you.
Yeah. It's and we have to remember, y'all, this is earth. It ain't heaven. Yeah. There's going to be a time where we ain't got to worry about hospitals and all that sort of stuff. The Lord's, he's got that ready for us. And, but in the meantime, to get there, it takes trusting that he's going to get you.
Yes.
That he gets us through these rough spots that we get into. And, I know that may sound, cavalier or cliche and whichever, but it is the truth. It's easier on the outside looking in and saying somebody's circumstance, they're going through it and it's hard, and you're not in it, and it's easy for somebody to say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps or buck up there, buddy, and just keep on going. I know that's hard. But it's the truth. And sometimes we get tired, we get tired of hearing it. It's like, man, I don't want a pep talk, man. I just want to feel better. I don't want a pep talk, man. I want my finances better. I want a job. I want a job that I could be fruitful with and excel at. I want my relationship to work. I want my relationship with my spouse to work or my kids to work. I don't want a pep talk. But don't take them pep talks for granted, y'all, because the thing is the truth. Yep. When it comes down to the Lord's going to get you through it. You gotta believe that wholeheartedly. You gotta follow him in it. Some things may fall apart. Some things may, something may happen. You may lose your job. Something may happen. You may lose your spouse. Things happen and you may lose. It's not something to take lightly. Not lightly at all. But again, this is the world, and this kind of crap happens. And we have to stick to the Lord. If we're tired, if we really don't like these things that are happening, we got to stick with the Lord. Because he's the one who has made this place where this stuff doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And while we're here and dealing with this stuff, don't lose faith and confidence in that. Because if you do, then we'll never know that place. And that's the place where we want to get to, ain't it? Where we don't have to worry about this stuff anymore. Getting sick. Mm-hmm. Strife between people. All this, being poor. All that sort of stuff, man. That stuff ain't going to be, that's always going to be a lurking problem while we're here. It ain't going to be when Yeshua brings us in.
Oh, yeah.
And to get there, like I said, keep the faith through the problems, man. Keep the faith through the problems. So, the Lord's speedy healing to you and his resolve to all of us. What was, in Yeshua's name.
Yes, indeed.
I wanted to talk about, I saw, there's a few things I want to talk. I didn't really get a chance to really go through it. I wanted to go dig into, the so-called philosophies or the assertions that these people are making. To be fair, I really wanted to, get into their, what they're thinking here, or the arguments that they're assuming to make, like things about purgatory. Mm-hmm. I wanted to discuss that. I don't know if I'm going to do it tonight. The case that, a Catholic apologist is making about purgatory. And things like, what was that another clergy was saying, you sent me a video.
A Catholic?
What was the assertion he was saying?
The assertion was that sometimes Jesus is busy, so you got to talk to his mom.
Right. Basically deifying Mary.
Yeah.
As if she has this, authority. to, I guess, make sure that Jesus is listening to your prayers or something like that. We were wanting to discuss that, and Kirk Cameron, talking about
he's an nihilist now, right?
Yeah. So these things were stuff that I want to. I don't know if I'll get into them tonight.
Maybe when we have a shorter Bible study.
Yeah, I mean, I might make a commentary, during the week. I may get to it, or I may save it for the ZOpium day. It's kind of what's in the news. Not the Kirk Cameron thing is definitely in the news right now.
Yes.
The other things, were more just kind of like viral videos, but not, talked about in news outlets and stuff. But they need to be addressed because a lot of people think this stuff.
Yep.
And so, we want to do our part to, see if we can help set the record straight. Which reminds me, folks. Oh, was there another? No. Which reminds me, folks, in case anybody's wondering if there's going to be like an after party. I guess we kind of have an after party right now.
Yeah.
But speaking of prayers, and I hope that if I may solicit yours for what we're trying to accomplish, it's gotten to a point, y'all. I can't do the ZOloft anymore. I can't do it. I'm gonna try to keep the ZOloft alive in some capacity by doing it on the Joe Messina show. Not so much doing the ZOloft, but like when I go on the Joe Messina show, because he has me as a guest like every week. He's, one of the right-wing commentators out there that still, tries to keep my work out there. He'll lend his show to me to come on and talk. He's like pretty much the only person who invites me to come and talk with him. So he does that every week. And so I'll probably, when I go on there, it'll be like I'll be in my ZOloft studio. And I'll give my commentaries, or we'll have our discussions and, shoot the breeze about what's going on, in politics or in faith and things like that. So if you want to get, the more political and social political commentary of what's going on, I'll be doing that from the Joe Messina show, which I usually hit 9:20 Central. So 9:20 Central on Mondays. And I'll do it from the ZOloft studio. So if anybody's still, interested in seeing the ZOloft and stuff like that, that's where I'll be. I'll be doing it more so on the Joe Messina show. And that's kind of like the only way that it won't be operating independently like I've been doing. It's just a way for me to kind of keep the ZOloft brand out there. I'm just a guest on his show, but I'm just going to do it from my studio, my ZOloft studio. But other than that, in terms of me doing the ZOloft commentaries, I can't do it anymore. It's and part of the reason why I can't do it anymore, folks, is I've been trying to keep it alive for a long time, but I can't afford to do it. And after what Apple did with Patreon, can't do it. If you guys remember, Apple was making Patreon change its format to where the content creator doesn't get paid per video anymore. It's only by subscription. They can only do subscription now. And not only that, Apple charges a 30% processing fee.
Yep.
So all that to say, y'all, they did a hard switch this past November. In the past year, y'all know that my income was already cut in half.
You mean 2 weeks ago, not last year?
No. Within the past year, our income was cut.
I meant the hard switch.
Right. When they did a soft switch in 2024, but they had a hard switch that they did in November. But before that, our income was cut in half. And then when they did this hard switch, that half has now been cut down to a quarter, because we're only paid by subscriptions now. They took out the per videos. We were paid per video. It's not like that anymore. Now it's by subscription. So they averaged that out. And when it averaged out for us and how people would pay by subscription, what they were averagely paying or however they did their math on it, it turned out to be a quarter of what we were making before. So all that to say, I can't afford to do ZOloft anymore. I basically may even have to find like, a more conventional. It's like, don't get me wrong, it's not like I'm above, working a 9 to 5 or anything like that, to try to, make ends meet or anything like that. But I really wouldn't be able to do this. This is, my day starts with studying, and building my catalog of studies going through the scriptures. And, and of course, trying to do the other things that I'm trying to get off the table. But, to be able to make ends meet and whatnot, my ability to generate income is choked off more than ever. I can't grow my audience. The ZOloft, the ZOpium den, the ZOloft, my audience is kept from growing. I don't know if it's my audience is kept from growing because of shadow banning, algorithm. I mean, I know that's a lot to do with it, but like I have always said, it just seems so sad that it's so easy to do. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, my brand, whatever it was just evaporated, and it's just a full-on afterthought. It was that easy to shadow ban my work. I can't grow my audience, y'all. I can't grow it. You guys see my videos, it's always the same number. I'm blessed to see y'all over, to repeatedly, I'm so thankful y'all are here, but the audience doesn't grow, and which means that the support doesn't grow. And I have the funding ain't there. And so now I have to let one of the shows go. I'm still wanting to do the ZOloft as the comedy show. I'm still like, I built the set, man. It's built, and I want to do something with it. I still want to do, because that's what it was meant to be. But to try to keep, the weekly commentaries, to keep it, alive, that life support system is gone. So hopefully at some point, maybe, funding will come through, to be able to, make the shows and make the ZOpium Den shows, because the sets are built. I'm ready to do them. I just don't have the funding to proceed from there. So your prayers would be appreciated, folks. Yes. That we could be fruitful with these things and bring to fruition the vision that I've had for them. I'm sorry to have to, let one of the shows go, but hopefully I'll be able to bring it back in the capacity that I hope to do it. Yeah. All right. So,
Miley Stevens is watching on Facebook.
Nice. Hey, and by the way, thank you, Facebookers, for watching and watching on the YouTubes and watching on the ZOloft. Really appreciate it. So, hey, if you want to drop a buck in the bucket to help keep your bros on the go and not, let my brand fully slide below, which it pretty much is. I'm just kind of like out of tube sticking up out of the ground trying to breathe. Help get my brand out of the ditch, So would greatly appreciate it. And, hit them like buttons, hit them subscribe buttons, and all that good stuff. Patreon, of course, I would really like to get away from. I would like to get away from Patreon. I would much more prefer, folks contribute, move all that to Cornerstone, which is the Christian payment system that we use. But I always take into consideration this is what people prefer. That's how it's easier for them to do. Then by all means, Cornerstone is really easy. It's really easy to do. But maybe it's just easier for me in my perspective. But for some people, maybe it's just easier to use the more mainstream way of contributing. But Cornerstone, it's really pretty easy. And like I said, it's owned and operated by Christians. So, that's, the way we'd really like to go. But I understand, it's December, it's Christmas time, and then coming out of January, stuff like that, I don't expect anybody to do anything, like that. You got your, families and gift giving that you want to do in your circles and things like that, and then recovering that from January. I got it. I'm just putting it out there that, why we're not doing the Zoloft anymore, or, what we kind of loosely call the after party, why we're not doing that anymore, because I just can't afford to. Patreon just really, it's not even so much as Patreon, it's Apple. Apple did it.
Yeah.
Apple screwed us. And like I said, it brought my income from there down to a quarter of what it was. And so because of that, can't do it. But hopefully, we can get off of Patreon. It's kind of pointless for me to be there now. I still need the contributions that come through there, but I'd just like to get those contributions moved over to Cornerstone, really. So, at any rate, y'all, thank you guys so much. BronzeSerpentMedia.com. And Father in heaven, thank you so much for blessing us with this study. We hope it was a blessing to you, Lord. We hope we have spoken rightly, Father, and spoken in school with you, and really stoke people to really seek you, get into your word, and seek you for who you say you are, not be influenced by anything else. Right on. And for y'all, our study buddies, ZOpium denizens, thank you guys as ever in sharing in our studies, our journey through the scripture. We trying to get our learn on, and we thank you for coming in to hang out as we go through the process. Thank you guys so much, and y'all have a groovy rest of your week, and we'll do it again soon sometime, as Hal Lindsey would say, God willing. All right, y'all. Night.